Ever notice how some things kind of sneak up on you? Like you get a little crack in your windshield, seems like out of nowhere, and then wham, suddenly it's like a huge spider web.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, that's what we're diving into today, glaucoma. It's kind of like that windshield can really sneak up on you. We're looking at this 2024 medical journal article. It's called Generalidades de Glaucoma en Adultos. Basically, overview of glaucoma in adults from the University of Iberoamerica. They're giving us a really interesting look at this whole silent thief of sight thing.
And the thing is, it's more common than you think. Glaucoma is a leading cause of blindness, and a lot of people don't even realize they have it until it's too late.
Yeah, it's like someone stealing something precious right out from under you and you don't even know it. So let's shed some light on this. What exactly is glaucoma?
It's not just one thing, actually. It's a group of eye conditions, but they all have one thing in common. They damage the optic nerve.
Okay, so that's the connection between our eyes and our brains, right? Like how we see.
Exactly. That's the information highway.
So what's causing the damage?
A lot of times, it comes down to the pressure inside the eye. We call it intraocular pressure, or IOP. It's all about a balance, you see. There's fluid in your eye that's always being produced and drained. And when that drainage system gets clogged...
That doesn't sound good.
No, it's not good. It's like a backed up pipe. The pressure just builds and builds, and it starts to damage those delicate nerve fibers in the optic nerve.
So it's not always a sudden thing then, more of a gradual.
Often, yes. It's a slow process, which is why it's so important to catch it early. You might not even notice anything's wrong with your vision at first.
This is where it gets really interesting though, right? Because the article mentioned that it's not always about high pressure.
That's right. High IOP is a major risk factor, sure. But some people get glaucoma even when their eye pressure is normal, so there's more to it than that. Researchers are still trying to figure out exactly what's going on in those cases.
Okay, so we've got a condition that can be sneaky, it can do damage without you knowing, and we don't even fully understand all the causes. I'm hooked. Tell me more about these different types of glaucoma.
Okay, so we can break it down into two main types, open-angle and closed-angle glaucoma.
All right, let's unpack those. What's the difference?
Well, remember that drainage system we talked about? With open-angle glaucoma, the angle is still open, but the fluid's not draining out like it should. It's like a leaky faucet. You know, it might not seem like a big deal at first, but over time, it can really cause some damage.
Yeah, so it's that silent thief thing again. You might not even notice it until it's too late.
Exactly. Now, closed-angle glaucoma, that's a whole different ballgame. That's when the drainage angle is completely blocked.
Okay, that sounds a lot more intense, like a pipe that's about to burst or something.
Yeah, it can be pretty serious. It's not as common, but it's important to know about. Because that pressure builds up so fast, it can be really painful, and you need to see a doctor right away.
Got it. So open angle is more common, often no symptoms at first, and it happens gradually. Closed angle is more rare, more sudden, and usually you'll know something's wrong because it'll hurt.
You got it. And that's why it's so important to understand your risk factors.
Right, because if you know you're at risk, you can be more proactive. So what are those risk factors? Age is a big one, right?
Definitely. The older you get, the higher your risk of developing glaucoma, especially after 40. Just like anything else, things start to wear down a bit over time.
Okay, so that's one we can't really control. What about things we can control, like lifestyle choices?
Well, family history is another factor. If you've got a close relative with glaucoma, your risk goes up. And ethnicity plays a role too. People of African descent have a much higher risk of developing glaucoma.
So those are things to keep in mind, definitely. What about other medical conditions?
Right. Certain conditions, like diabetes, can increase your risk as well. And there's some thought that lifestyle factors like diet and exercise might have an impact, although more research is needed on that.
So it's all about being informed and talking to your doctor, especially if any of those risk factors apply to you. Okay, let's say someone is concerned that they might have glaucoma. How is it actually diagnosed? Are there any warning signs people should look out for?
Well, that's why those regular eye exams are so important. A good eye doctor will do a few things. They'll measure your IOP, which is that pressure inside the eye. They use this little device called a tonometer. It's really quick and painless.
Well, that's good to know. I'm not a big fan of needles and all that.
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Yeah.
They'll also take a look at your optic nerve, see if there's any damage there. And they'll check your peripheral vision, too. And if they think it could be glaucoma, they might use a special imaging technique called OCT.
OCT? That sounds pretty high-tech.
It stands for optical coherence tomography, and it basically gives them a really detailed cross-section of your retina and optic nerve so they can see even the tiniest changes.
Wow, so it's like taking a picture of what's going on inside your eye.
Yeah, you could say that. And this early detection is key, because if we can catch it early, we can start managing it before it gets worse.
Okay, so we've caught the thief red-handed. Now what can we do to stop them? What are the treatment options for someone with glaucoma?
Well, the good news is that while there's no cure for glaucoma yet, there are definitely things we can do to manage it and slow down its progression.
Okay, that's good to hear. So what does managing glaucoma actually involve?
The main goal is to lower that intraocular pressure. Basically, we want to prevent any further damage to that optic nerve. It usually involves a combination of things. The treatment really depends on the type of glaucoma you have and how advanced it is.
So it's not like a one-size-fits-all approach.
No, not at all. It's very personalized. Medication is often the first line of defense. There are different eye drops that work in different ways. Some reduce fluid production, while others help to improve the drainage.
So it's like finding the right key for the lock.
Exactly. And if medication alone isn't enough, we can use laser therapies to improve drainage or even decrease how much fluid the eye is producing. And in some cases, surgery might be an option to create a new drainage pathway for the fluid.
It sounds like managing glaucoma can be a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
This article really emphasized the impact it can have on a person's day-to-day life.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how you have to, change things up if you're living with this condition. What kind of impact are we talking about exactly?
Well, it varies from person to person, of course, but could be anything from dealing with medications, maybe some side effects, to adjusting to changes in your vision. And we got to think about the emotional side too, right? It's a lot to deal with. The article really highlighted how glaucoma can make everyday things harder, like reading or driving or even just getting around in a crowded place.
I think it's one of those things you don't really think about until it's a possibility, losing your sight. Exactly. And that's why I think this is so important. This knowledge, this awareness of what glaucoma is and what it can do, it's empowering.
Like we're finally shining a light on this thief that's been lurking in the shadows.
I like that. And just like knowing how to protect your house from burglars, understanding glaucoma gives you the tools to protect your vision.
I love that analogy.
Oh.
Okay, so we've talked about the different types, who's at risk, how it's diagnosed, and what the treatment options are. If our listeners take away just one thing from all of this, what should it be?
I'd say knowledge is power. Really understand what glaucoma is, know if you're at risk, get those regular eye exams, especially as you get older. That's huge.
And never hesitate to talk to your doctor if you have any concerns about anything.
Exactly. Early detection is key. And being proactive about managing it, that's how you protect your vision for years to come.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And hey, speaking of being proactive, and this is perfect timing, really October is Blindness Awareness Month, isn't it?
It is a perfect time for everyone listening to make their eye health a priority.
So true. If you're due for an eye exam, go ahead and schedule it. And if you have any of those risk factors we talked about, even more reason to get checked out.
It's a small step that can make a big difference in the long run.
I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive for today. But keep those brains working, folks. Until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and never stop learning.